Hello, my name is Clifford, and this video is about this little aquascape of mine. This little personal project of mine has taught me so many things in terms of sustainability, care, time management, organization, and I can actually go on and on and on. It actually taught me things that I was not prepared to learn about. Long story short, I enjoy my peace, my quiet, my tranquility. I needed another energy in this space. One that I could provide for, and I can see it thrive somehow in this space, which is small. Right off the bat, I wanted a plant. So I started researching into low light plants. Plants that didn't need much sunlight. And then eventually I stumbled upon paludariums and vivariums and a bunch of other eums. And naturally, it led to aquascapes. So here's the thing. I grew up in a house with the typical fish tank, with the goldfish, with the colored gravel, with the castle and the fake plants. And guests would come over to the house when we have parties and whatnot and admire the goldfish. And the goldfish was very much the focal point of that entire tank. They'd admire the huge size that this goldfish would grow into, the big full bellies. But the older I get, the more I realize it's very much a case of the animal is plopped somewhere just for the sake of it being seen. In my opinion, aquascapes are such a contrast from this. It's as if you're taking a slice from nature and bringing it into your space. The creatures are not the focal point. The plants and the hardscape, they are not the focal point either. But it's the entire design and the attention to layout and space and consideration to water quality. When you start looking at inspiration for aquascapes, you realize that that is the focal point. It's caring about the animal and putting it in an environment that is so naturally pleasing. And by no means is this some dictionary definition, it's just what it has grown to mean to me. Everything from the sand to the soil, to the plants, to the stones, to the wood, branches, leaves. In my opinion, it's all art. Even up to the choice of the dimension of the tank, it's still an artistic decision. It gives us the opportunity to be extremely creative, and therefore we can express our individualism through this form of art. To someone like me, that's incredibly appealing. So let me just get into it. This dresser, this dresser was not made for aquariums. I don't know how old this thing is. I don't know why I'm laughing so much. This is the worst place for an aquarium. There's nowhere to put any filters below or in the back. There's no space. This isn't being moved. All these little things had to be taken into consideration. So I had to navigate smart. So I measured the dimensions of the dresser, and I took those dimensions and I made a sort of blueprint in Photoshop. I was able to compare dimensions of different tanks I found online, so I had a visual of how much real estate I was working with. Last thing I wanted was to buy something and be surprised of how big or how small it looked. This gave me a good opportunity to actually see, okay, I can place my lamp here and I can place something here. Maybe my laptop can go here and blah, blah, blah. You see the brainstorm happening. In my mind, I had a fantasy of branches that stuck out of the water. I see soil, I see sand, I see green grass, I see rocks that seem to break and trail off into the white sand. And I saw the white sand as sort of a resting place or a feeding place for when whatever creature wanted to go and relax and get away from the planted side of the tank, the busy hustle and bustle and the confusion of the stems and the roots. So it was really important for me to have these two sides of the tank. I needed both of these elements in the tank. I know that I feel better consciously inside, knowing that whatever creature I chose to put in the tank would have the option. God forbid I put a creature in the tank that didn't enjoy one side. Maybe, just maybe, it would enjoy the other side. Of course, any creature, any organism that is under my control that I own, I want to be the happiest bundle of joy. I want it to thrive. I just want it to be happy. I want it to have a good quality of life. Anyways, so I used a substrate called Amazonia, specifically ADA Amazonia version 2. And it comes with these little pellets that go under the soil, which should help with fertilization. So I thought it would give the tank a good head start. I had so much fun looking for sands. There's so many types of sands, so many different beautiful colors, each with their own mood and tone, each give you a certain feeling when you look at them. I went with ADA La Plata. It was either between that or I think there was one called Colombia or Colombiana or something like that. I went with ADA La Plata. Oh, sorry, no, ADA Colorado sand. That was the one that I maybe would have went with, but hey, La Plata, La Plata, La Plata. So when I was looking for stones, again, there's an assortment, each with their own characteristics, each affecting the water quality differently. As soon as I saw Serious stone, I wanted it. I went with Serious stone because they have this bluish grayish color. They have these striations on the side. Ugh, striations. And I think my favorite thing is they have these jagged edges, kind of like little mountain tops if you really kind of twist your perspective in a way. So I bought 40 pounds of Serious stone and I took it in my backyard with a hammer and I chiseled away and my neighbors didn't know what was happening. I dented the concrete in my backyard, but I got some good pieces, some custom Clifford pieces. I tried my best to keep the stones as original as possible. There was this one stone that as soon as I saw it, I didn't even want to touch it. It was perfect. It was exactly what I wanted. I didn't even want to touch it. And I put it in the middle of the tank, untouched. As soon as I saw the stone, I knew where it was going. Oh my lord. In terms of the wood, my local pet shops kept telling me that their wood was sold out. They're gonna restock Thursday, next week, 2 weeks, So I waited all over and I went. I made an impulse purchase and I bought spider wood, thinking they would fit in the tank, and if not, that I was able to cut them. No, these are sturdy pieces of wood. I don't have no big equipment or anything like that, and I foolishly went ahead and bought it with no experience. I ended up not having to use them. I also bought this bonsai tree type of driftwood, which seemed super cool in the store, and I brought it home, I put it in the tank, and I didn't like it. I think all of these unnecessary mistakes taught me lessons. Mistakes gave me an opportunity to venture out, meet new people, see new smiles. I finally ended up purchasing manzanita wood, which was exactly what I needed. The perfect size, the little branches, and the branches had their own little branches. Perfect. And it was also this shade of red. When I bought it, it seemed brown, but in the water, it became this red. Beautiful. So, okay, boom. I finally started setting up the tank. I used a foam sheet and I cut it to size as a leveling mat. I placed in the aqua soil first, keeping in mind that I wanted 2 or 3 inches towards the back right, where the majority of the plants would be planted. Also, I was keeping in mind that placing the soil and the sand both at an incline towards the back would create a sense of space within the tank. In doing so, it would make this small tank seem as if it leads to something much larger. And that would kind of trick the eye. That would amaze some people, I would think. So I want that sort of effect. I made sure to create a border with stones between the aqua soil and the sand so that these things wouldn't mix and overlap. And lastly, I placed the Serious stone in ways that were pleasing to me. These jagged and pointy edges, I wanted them to reach toward the sky. I wanted their striations to match and make sense, and I wanted it to look like something you'd actually see outside. I wanted it to look uncomfortable to walk on. After I felt comfortable with the composition of everything, I began to plant. I bought 3 types of plants. I got Bucephalandra mini purple, which is great because you don't actually have to plant it. I thought it would have beautiful hints of purple, and the leaves were so tiny. I thought these tiny leaves would contribute to making the tank feel and look bigger. I also got Java Fern, twin needle Java Fern, because of those thin leaves. Once again, I thought it would contribute to making the tank look and feel bigger. And lastly, I got batches of Monte Carlo because I wanted to try to have some sort of carpeting grass, or at least something that looked like carpeting grass or the aquascape equivalent. In addition, I knew that I wasn't using CO2. All I wanted to use was a simple filter. So I strayed away from plants that I realized needed CO2. I got my little sister to help me plant. I wanted to try something called the dry start method, but I tried it and I didn't have the patience for it. So I'm just gonna fast forward real quick. I put water in the tank without cycling it first. All of the plants I bought melted, and I thought they were just completely dead. The tank looked horrible, and there was cyanobacteria all over everything. If you love the color green, you would love it. But foolishly enough, I had bought the shrimp, thinking that they would be able to acclimate properly to this water. So the tank, in my opinion, was actually looking beautiful. I loved seeing all of these natural things growing inside this space, which I didn't think anything would grow at all. All this green algae, I thought this was cool. I realized that there was this huge imbalance within the water. I went kind of crazy and I bought all the floating plants that I thought that I could. I bought everything from duckweed to dwarf water lettuce to salvinia, red root floaters, Amazon frogbit. Over time, I've actually taken out what I don't like. From the beginning of the making of the tank, it's been almost 1 year that I've had this. So yeah, the floating plants completely changed the health of the water, and it boosted the whole ecosystem. So I'm gonna fast forward again. Those plants that I thought were not gonna survive came back and were thriving. Sometimes they seem moody, and as I said, I'm still learning a lot about this. The small volume of water means that it's a delicate sort of ecosystem. I started with 5 Bloody Mary Neocaridina shrimp, 5 golden back yellow shrimp, and from those 10 shrimp, I think I have hundreds now. Speckles of red and yellow. They were like pieces of Skittles. The white sand and the gray stone, and these animals, these organisms just popping red, yellow, boom, boom, boom. And it's exactly what I wanted. And when the light hits it just right, these animals shine. They are pieces of Skittles, just beautiful, like candy in the tank. So as we speak, there's hundreds of shrimp in this tank. I have 1 ram's horn snail. His name is Mr. Snail. Sometimes I call him Turbo because he's deceptively fast. When he really sees food, he will run. He don't got legs, he'll run though. And considering I saw the plants came back to life and were doing well, I went ahead and bought more plants. I now have Suvasartang for the little baby shrimp. I have 2 scarlet temples, which are beautiful. They're so red, they're like neon. Hot pink. On top of that, I got Bucephalandra Pink Lady, which is quite a contrast from the Bucephalandra Mini Purple, I think I said before. Because those have such tiny little leaves, and the Pink Lady has huge leaves for a Bucephalandra. I bought it because I wanted to see those hints of pink or maybe red, so yeah. Then I have Anubias Nano Pinto. It's a bright white, and I was trying to see if maybe I can grow more of it. On top of that, I have Bucephalandra variegated marble. I thought it would be cool to have a rare sort of plant. The last 2 plants I mentioned come from very specific strains. I just think it would be fun to have and watch grow, because I have evidence that I can grow the other plants. Oh, Ludwigia! I have a forest. I call it a forest. In 1 week, it grows its own forest. And you see where the concentration of the light makes the plants so red. And the more you go away from that concentration of light, it greens out. It's the most beautiful thing. And I love that it shows me that it adores the aquarium. Same thing for the shrimp. The fact that these 10 shrimp procreated to create hundreds, if not thousands, shows how comfortable they are. Every single shrimp or snail I lay my eye upon, I wish them a beautiful life. There's no point in having animals and making them suffer. We have to take into consideration how they feel, whether you believe they could even feel or not. You as a human should do your part to make sure that they're happy. And I think that even though we're creating an artificial environment, we can make it as natural as possible, all while enjoying them as much as we can and inviting them into our personal space. If you've ever tried to pick up a pencil and draw a stick figure, that's enough creativity that you need. You can be as bland as possible, but if you try to do something like this, your personality will seep out. Sometimes I step back and I look at it and I see this sort of cycle motion that's happening. Oh, speaking of cycle motion, the filters. I went through maybe 3 different types of filters. The first one I felt just was trickling. It was barely doing anything. So I replaced it with another one. And then I realized that one was overkill. And then I bought another one. Long story short, I ended up with this Nano filter. Well, weirdly enough, I think it looks like a cool piece of machinery with the tubes. And it's easy to clean. In this past year, I've also tried hydroponics. I had a spider plant in there, but the roots got so big, I didn't want it to hog the nutrients from the other plants, from the aquatic plants. So I made the decision to remove it. But yeah, I've done a lot of little experiments and it's been such a joy. The reason I'm making this video is to pretty much document this time in my life. Just be open to the downfalls, but put your good intentions within everything. With that being said, whoever has seen this, have a beautiful day. I hope you've eaten food. I hope you drank something. I put an algae wafer and they're going crazy. I don't think the camera could pick it up. Don't like, don't share, don't comment, don't do nothing. All I want is for you to see. Have a beautiful day or night.